Hey there, everyone. We continue to work through this At Home with Jesus series, and I just want to say a little bit about why I think this metaphor of living at home is so important. It's not just that we find ourselves at home more, because when we get down to it, home is about more than just a physical space. There are lots of times we might return to a place where we came from, but we just don't feel a whole lot of connection to it, because the connection has to do with our relationships. And to be sure, we can have a relationship with something geographical or structural, but usually those places and things only matter because of the people that were in them. And so home is really, it's a matter of relationship. And our relationship with ourselves and with others, with the future, with our work, all of that is really being tested right now. And maybe we're being shown in some ways that we've tried to create homes, dwelling places for our hopes and our loyalties that aren't as long-lasting as we need them to be. So at home with Jesus. Jesus is the one who asks for all of our loyalty, all of our love, and has already given all of his loyalty and his love to us in the first place, and has given us a home that will not perish or spoil or fade, or as we hear in our text from worship from 1 Corinthians 13, a home that never ends. Love never ends. And that was our theme on Sunday. At home with Jesus in love. So one of the interesting things about this text from 1 Corinthians is that it is very future-oriented. If we look at the last part of the text especially, we hear a now and then kind of contrast. And the then that Paul is talking about is when the work of Jesus' resurrection has done all of its redeeming work in the stuff of creation, so that the whole life of heaven, everything that God is about, the very life of God and the purpose of God has come into the earth in full, and nothing exists except what gives God pleasure and glory. So some of what Paul is getting at in this love passage is that the Corinthians have been falling pretty far short of living that in the now. They've been dividing up into factions with different people claiming sort of power positions and oppositional camps within the church. They've fallen into social divisions. They've been playing some kind of spiritual one-upmanship in the way they're going about their life. And Paul is calling them out on it, but also painting for them the kind of picture that they really need to see, because it's where they are headed as people and where all of creation is headed, into this way of life that is about patience and kindness and refusal of boasting and envy. And when competition between people is all over and we're all looking out for one another and giving ourselves over to each other for the benefit of another. So this is a real challenge in all of life, and I think it's a special challenge today when so many of us are feeling insecure about our future. What's it going to hold? So this is an interesting conversation piece, this passage, because it asks us to consider that the future that we're really living into is a thoroughly love-grounded future. It really is a true home because it's in love that we feel most secure. It's in love that we feel most joy. It's in love that we feel most ourselves. And so if we can realize that the future that we're looking for has already come to us in Jesus, and welcome that as deeply as we can and know that it's going to be with us always, then I think that really gives us a lot more security in the present and a lot more hope for the future, knowing that, as Paul says, God's love bears all things, hopes all things, believes all things, and endures all things. So for sure, this passage calls us on the carpet if we really read it seriously, but it also gives us a lot of hope for the kind of work God is doing, the kind of place we already are, and the kind of future we can look forward to, because God has accomplished it in Jesus and his dying and rising, and our place is to receive it deeply and to live into it the best that we can. So let's keep the conversation going as we gather for our Zoom at home meeting, 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Hope to see you there.